Okay, so I have a door that's become more and more difficult to close. It started with the door just rubbing a little against the door jamb to now not closing unless I put a lot of pressure on it. Do you have a door like this and are looking for an easy solution on how to fix a door that won't close or rubs? Well, before you go overboard by cutting or sanding down the door, I'm going to show you 3 things to look for and the quick and easy solutions on how to fix each of the 3 problems that could cause your door to rub or not close at all. If you're looking for a video that shows you how to adjust a door that rubs or doesn't close, you've come to the right place. But first, real quick, I want to welcome you to How To with Kevin, where of course I'm Kevin. I made this channel to share things that I've learned over the years that hopefully will help you do them as well. And maybe even save you a little time and money. We cover a lot of different things here. Home improvement projects, tech stuff, self-care, really anything. So I hope you consider subscribing so you can help me build this channel to where we can do even more here. All right, so let's get started. So the big thing that tends to happen is the weight of the door starts to come this way. And so to verify that, we want to take a look at the actual door and see where the rubbing is and the gaps between the door and the door jamb. Okay, so as we look here and we see at the top of the door on the side of the door knob, it's very tight. The gap is, again, that's where my rubbing is happening, okay? And as you work your way down, you'll see the gap gets bigger as we go past the doorknob, and you get sort of a decent gap here. Okay, so the rubbing is not here, which we know it's at the top. When we go to the other side of the door, we'll see that this is very similar in the size of gap. But as we go up, again, we're past the middle hinge and going towards the top hinge, what you'll see is the gap gets wider. Okay, and so there's 3 things to look for to see what could be causing this problem. Again, a lot of times it's the weight of the door pulling over time and it starts to want to, again, push the door down. Okay, so the first thing we want to look at is the actual hinge itself. We want to see, number 1, is the hinge still tight in there? And is the screws holding it into the door jamb okay? So the first thing we'll do is we'll just take a basic screwdriver and we'll test it. And on the top, tight. On the middle, loose, okay? And then the bottom one, loose as well. Okay, so that could be our problem. I will say, my gut feeling is, by looking at the door jamb itself here, there's not a lot of give here, even with the door open. So I don't think it's the screw is the issue, but we want to definitely rule that out because that could potentially be the problem. So the first thing we'll do is work on the bottom screw first, and we're going to basically try to tighten that up. So I'm going to pull the screw out. It's hard to get the screw out because, again, it's not grabbing to anything. So one of the tricks that you'll see is using the toothpick method to sort of give it something to sort of get tighter on. Okay, so something for the screw to grab onto. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, get this started. Okay, so you see that I basically broke a toothpick in half and put it in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tighten it. Okay, and you can start to feel it catching. And before we get too tight, we're going to break this off so that, again, you're not having a toothpick stick out. Okay. And that'll tighten it up, okay? So that's fix number 1. You know, putting a little toothpick in there, see if that'll tighten it up for you, okay? Let's take a quick look. Does that fix our problem? No. And I didn't think that it would fix our problem. So let's go to number 2. And the second thing we had talked about was this middle screw in this hinge. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, again, take it out. You can see it's just harder to get out because not really grabbing. And so the first thought is we could do the same thing with the toothpick, but we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to take a longer screw. Okay, so just to show you, this is a much longer screw than this original screw. And the point of it is this small screw just really attaches to the door jamb. What we're going to do is try to get into the wood behind the door jamb, okay? And so to that point, you want to make sure there's nothing on the other side of the door that could potentially be a problem, which of course, looking here, we can see that there's going to be nothing there. So what I'm going to do is screw this in here, okay? And again, the idea is that I can pull this tighter. Now, full disclosure, I don't think this is going to fix my problem with the door jamb, but I'm going to still do it because, again, this could be a big one, particularly if you see this is loose. So let's go ahead and screw this in. Okay, screw is in. Let's see if it fixes it. No. And again, I didn't think so that was the problem. I really feel like the issue is with the hinges, but I wanted to show you because, again, if you have a loose hinge attached to the door jamb, that's a common problem. So again, those two fixes will start, but again, I sort of knew from the beginning that the third fix is what's going to help me out here. The issue tends to happen with the knuckles on the door hinge is that they get bent and warped over time, particularly if you take the door off, you paint the door, you maybe switch different hinges and not realize that. That could cause a lot of problems because they're not always perfect to fit. So again, I think this is going to be my problem. So let's go ahead and start with solution number 3. The good thing about option number 3 is you don't need any extra equipment. You don't need that long screw. You don't need the toothpick. Not you probably have that, but what you do need is a couple of tools. One is a hammer, and 2 is some type of thing that can help knock the pin out. This is actually an older pin that I have that goes into the hinge. So what I'm going to do, just for making it easy, I'm going to grab it with these channel locks and just go ahead and knock the pin out. Okay, got a little scuff here. It's okay, we'll clean that up and we'll do that later. But again, just trying to show you from an awkward angle with the cameras to see. So just want to have it loose up there, okay? Take the old pin out. So what you can see is this is out of alignment. Now, what you can do, now you could put a wedge or some shims under the door to help lean it into the place you really want it, okay? What I'm going to do, as you can see, it's already lining up a lot better. The pin's just flying in there. But what you can see, again, is the hinge, or the knuckles that are on the hinge that attach to the door are more this way compared to the hinge knuckles that are along the door jamb. So what we need to do is to just adjust those in the right direction so that this will straighten this out, pull the door over, and that way then the door will close easily, okay? Now I had showed you some channel locks. You don't want to use those for that. The channel locks obviously have teeth on it, and that would just sort of mark up your hinge, so we don't want to do that. So the last tool that you're going to need is really just a crescent wrench, and you don't want to have this super tight or anything. You just want to make it to the point where it's snug, but again, not tight. So what we're going to do is just do a little pulling or prying on the hinge to straighten things out. And what I'm going to do, again, you could very easily have a wedge under the bottom of the door on the side of the door handle and pull that up. I'm just using a little bit of pressure here to see it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the part of the hinge. Now remember those little screws? That's also what's inside the door. So you don't want to be real crazy and just yanking on it. But what you want to do, okay, is just give a little tug. Okay, just get a little bend. And we're going to do that for the side of the knuckles that are attached to the door. So in this case, it's the top one, the middle one, and the bottom. That's what's attached to the door, okay? So what we're gonna do, again, just sort of give a bend. Okay. Okay, so I gave a little bit, it's still snug. So we're gonna go ahead and we're going to loosen this up a little bit, and we're gonna do the top a little bit more here. Okay, so that one, bend a little bit more. I'm keeping the hinge in here just so it keeps things close for me. So again, we're starting to get better. It's already closing. But again, I want to, looking at the alignment here, I can see we're getting better. Again, again, as I push it up to get more of the gap over here so that it closes easily, there's just a little bit, maybe of this middle one. So I want to go a little bit more. Okay. Okay, let's see, if we get a little bit closer. So the door shuts. Now again, could we tweak it a little bit more? We could. You could, in some cases, again, looking at the alignment of moving the hinge that's along the door jamb, but the thing is, you're really trying to move the door in, and so the problem tends to be from the hinge that's attached to the door. So that's why we want to focus on that. So again, it's closing pretty good there. What I could do is just do a little bit more. Again, this is where if you have a wedge or shim, you could definitely use that. I'm trying to show you guys how to do it without in case you don't have that available. So you can see the knuckle as I straighten it out. Okay, that looks pretty good right there. And so I think what I'm going to do is correct this just a little bit. This way, a little bit that way, and I think that's going to do it. Let's go ahead, stick this back in. Ta-da! All right, so that's it. It's done. So let me go ahead and just push this all the way in there. Good. All right, so there you go. Nice, easy shot. The gap's decent here on both all around the door. Easy fix. So again, the three things you can do, really all of these would take 60 seconds at the most. I just wanted to take some time by showing you guys to do it the right way. But the keys are, number one, look where your gap is. If you're seeing it's on here, on the top, most likely the weight of the door over time is pulled down on the hinges and these have gotten bent a little bit. But before you go to that route, make sure that the hinge is attached to the door and the door jamb okay. If they're not, again, you could do the method I did with the little toothpicks where you can sort of tighten up the screw, or probably better yet in most cases is taking the bigger screw, driving it past the door jamb into the actual wood, you know, of the studs and whatnot. So that's the second thing. But again, I sort of had a feeling that this was a bent one, and I could sort of tell by looking at the gaps between the hinges. The bottom was real close. The top is now close. There probably could be a little adjustment in the middle one, but sometimes you sort of get where you need to get, and I'm happy with it. So a little cleaning of the scuff marks, and otherwise looks good. I'm happy with it. So I'm interested in hearing what you guys think on how it turned out or knowing what questions you have. Let me know in the comments. I hope you found the video helpful, and if you did, please push that like button. And if you enjoy doing a variety of DIY projects, definitely consider subscribing. Now, if you're interested in DIY investing and financial types of videos, check out my first channel, Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise. I have a lot of good stuff there as well. I'll link it for you in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.